duck flew, by the way.
Let's do that now. Jojo, don't forget. Yo, hi people. Tabs here. Back with another episode, man. I don't know why is this thing doing this today. Uh, yeah. Okay, let's get into it, man. DC Film Fridays. I did one last week, but it happened. I couldn't do it on the Friday, man. I got caught up doing some other stuff, so I had to be busy. And I couldn't do that, but yeah, we back. We back, man. Better than ever. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, uh, yeah, man. Latest news today is the biggest news in DC films is obviously the Superman and Crypto picture. I don't know if I could actually like uh this thing. Okay, I can't do that right now. But it's the Superman has shown us Dark Crypto, and it again it got backlash. I don't know why. Like I don't think people should really care if because I don't feel like Crypto is a main character. Doesn't suffer from main character. So never was a main character. Was never that big a deal in the universe. Was just like you know he was Crypto. If Crypto was food, he'd be like garnishing, man. So be like something extra. So yeah, Crypto people are angry about the breed of the dog because this feel is not comic book accurate. And yeah, I don't care, man. And obviously, it would have been cool if it was a Labrador, because Labradors just have that official look. They have this tough look about them, not too tough, like friendly, but big enough to scare other type of bad dogs. I don't know what the hell. But anyway, man, yeah, that is what it is. He dropped a teaser, and yeah, and he said that generally crypto, yeah, like here you can see the picture of the crypto. Bear with me, people. Still some technical issues, but yeah, man, it is what it is. It is what it is. Let me just do this real quick. So yeah, um, let's see. James Gunn's latest. This is the first article. It says James Gunn's latest Superman announcement has people even more excited for the DCU's debut film. Um, just give me a second. Get some water, people. Gotta hydrate. Gotta stay not thirsty. Pause. Pause all of that. So yeah. Okay. Um. Yeah, man. Sorry. Just bear with me some more, please. So yeah. James Gunn's new announcement that people excited. Um. So this article is basically talking about how DC's last two films are basically box office bombs, and yeah, they flopped hard. The Flash, especially the Flash, because that movie had a lot of people were looking forward to it. It was in development. I think probably the longest DCEU development film in development, and compared to other films, it took the longest. Man, it had so much controversy going on. So yeah, Um, I don't know. I should change these settings, man. I don't like. Yeah, hit the likes, people. Hit the likes, please. Okay. Oh my good lord. Just give me 1 second. I got a problem here. A big problem. Oh man. There we go. This is where it all falls down, man. Where everything crashes. Oh, not today. Tell Satan not yet. Yo, man. We really have to go through these things today. Um, just bear with me, some more people. Uh, I really have to update the system, bro. Shit. Yeah. But we don't complain here. We move. Yeah. Okay, man. Time is flying. Yeah. Let's get into it, man. So, people, let's see. I'm trying to see what this news is. What this article says. People are excited about this new. Yeah, as I was saying, the Flash. When it eventually got made, uh, and especially the good work that was happening while the film was being made. Andy Muschietti had so much trouble. That's the director of the Flash. He had so much trouble actually making that movie. That by the time he, by the time James Gunn saw what he was doing, he liked it so much that he let him work on the new upcoming Batman film, Batman Brave and the Bold. It's going to be the first Batman of the DCU, not DCEU. Even though Andy Muschietti is technically part of, like they tried doing a thing where the Flash was basically supposed to be the DCEU's reset, and James Gunn just scratched all of that. He took the team that worked on the Flash, but he said he doesn't want all the baggage that actually came with the Flash. So he wants to start his slate clean. And in hindsight, man, it could work because right now, if you look at Marvel, they're currently on a downslope. Like one movie could change that. If Avengers: Secret Wars with Robert Downey Jr. as Doctor Doom and who these the previous directors of the Avengers films, if they do a good job, that it changes the whole trajectory again. So yeah, man. Like, but at this current moment, the the Marvel universe is doing quite badly. So James Gunn, what he's done is set up the DC universe quite well in terms that if the movies do well, they could do what Marvel is doing. Like, to be honest, the from Iron Man until Avengers Endgame, that was a fantastic run, man. There were flops in that, but in terms of overall performance of the whole universe, that oh man, I don't think any other genres even come close to that, man. Much less like one cinematic universe, much less one franchise. So yeah, Marvel, they dominated. They dominated, man, and especially when people thought that this is just a fad. This is not something that a lot of people would connect to. Instead, it was actually the opposite of that, man. Because who was not a hero of, who was not a fan of Spider-Man, who was not, even if you didn't know Iron Man, the way they did it was so cool. Even if you didn't know Thor, the way they did it was so cool, and the whole team up was just done so well that it took over. It took over so much, man. It took over. So, but nah, dude. So basically, James Gunn is trying to replicate that at DC, and he started like my one problem with the DCE was that it was not one kind of vision, but I think that was also one of the strong points in retrospect because people hate people hate Marvel films because they were Marvel films. Like you just look at uh, just the first Captain Marvel. That was the quintessential Marvel film, a film that had all awkward like comedy. You know, you could basically spot it from a mile away. It had people didn't like that. It didn't have like an individualistic thing about it. It felt like they were all part of these. It was all part of a production, and no film was quite individual, even though each character was individual and had its own backstory and everything. They really felt that the look was the same, and I don't think they appreciated that. So yeah, what was my point in saying that? My point of saying that is that DCEU in retrospect, that's what they did well. Aquafresh. Aquaman was its own thing. Wonder Woman was its own thing. The Batman and Superman, they were their own things. And yeah, man. Even though a lot of people didn't like how, even though okay, let me not say a lot of people because Zack Snyder is both like the craziest, or let me not say craziest because I'm part of the Snyder fans, Snyderverse fans. Um, he's built one of the most dedicated fan bases based off of what he's done at DC. So yeah, that film had its own debacle, man. It didn't end well, but people still regard that as something that had its even a lot of comic book even though a lot of comic book fans, comic book purists who was like, no man, this isn't like this the comic book Superman that we know. They had to admit that it was very cinematic. It had this very epic feel to it, So yeah, man. Um, my point is that was just one of my thoughts, right or wrong. So I'm just saying that if James Gunn achieves this, if he manages to even come a bit close to what Marvel has done, and obviously what I hope is that he kind of tries to distill what they did, like do it in a smaller dosage, and because one thing people have been waiting to see is a proper Justice League film. We only got one. We only have the one Justice League film. There are already how many Avengers films? There are four Avengers films out already. The fifth one is on its way. We are yet to get because the previous Justice League film had so much going on. People probably feel that they still deserve a better Justice League or more Justice League films with better villains. So yeah, man. Yeah, yeah. Anyway, um, this thing. So, oh yeah, they. So this article is basically it's just speaking about the thing that I actually mentioned when I started this video. What's going on? Uh, man. Okay. So Crypto is an exciting addition to the DC universe because he's rarely used in live-action Superman projects. He did appear in CW Smallville and Max's Titans. I have never seen Crypto in. But to be honest, I kind of swore that I'd finish Smallville, but then I started the X Files and I never finished the X Files. X Files was oh, it was a hard watch at the beginning, but there were some episodes, man. There were some episodes which blew my mind. But yeah, that's the thing about yesteryear's series. That's 24 episodes, and you get like 10 awful episodes and like 4 good ones and like 10 mid ones, and it was like, yo, yeah. Now I guess my receptors are fried, man. TikTok, I have TikTok, bro. That I have TikTok, man. But I can only do like 10 episodes, and if you're not good by episode 3, you lost me, man. Episode 4, maybe. Like, even this, I think, what's this? Umbrella Academy. I'm a huge fan of Umbrella Academy, but they lost me when season 4 did what they did, man. I probably only watched up to like episode 3, episode 4, and I stopped watching it. Anyway, so yeah, they're basically just going off of Jim Gunn's history of making audiences fall in love with obscure characters. Gunn has a talent for bringing together a group of oddball characters and making audiences fall in love with them. Casual audience did not know who the Guardians of the Galaxy were before the 2014 film, and now they are some of the most popular MCU characters. Yeah, Guardians is goated, man. It is goated. His comic book films have also have cute characters that make audiences laugh and cry, despite how goofy they might be on some levels. Figures like Groot, King Shark, and Cosmo the Space Dog could be too silly in the hands of a lesser director. He has a point. This article has a point. Peacemaker is the shit. Like James Gunn came with Peacemaker. Peacemaker's hopefully going to be a stable. Hopefully, he's going to be a crossover from the DCEU to the DCU. I actually hope Idris Elba's character comes back. Is Deadshot. It's not Deadshot. It's what is his also? Uh, oh, Idris Elba. Uh, DC. What is? Oh, Bloodsport. Yeah, Bloodsport, man. That character is actually quite. He was a shit. He was the shit. I actually hope he comes back. And well, Catcher was dope. You know, and even who's this? Even Drax the Destroyer. That whole team was actually quite well done, man. James Gunn, he actually pulled it off quite well. Says, however, Gunn knows the exact traits of these characters to highlight and how to give them surprising character arcs despite their limited dialogue. It's hard to make anyone just like a dog, and I know Crypto will improve 2025 Superman by giving Kal-El an adorable friend who can also fight crime. So, the way I look at these upcoming DCU films, man, this dude, he James Gunn does what classic directors do. Like if you haven't seen Young Frankenstein, I suggest you watch it. Um, he makes comedic parts comedic, light-hearted moments light-hearted, serious parts serious. And for a film like Young Frankenstein, that would be like the classic way to uh, the best example of how that's done. Sorry, I've just been busy. Now I got a lot of gas. Anyway, man, let's get to it. Yeah, James Gunn was actually a very good director, man. I remember I watched Slither, and Slither was like it's a comedy horror film, and best example of James Gunn's work. And the first time I've ever seen anything by James Gunn, which was his writing, uh, Dawn of the Dead, Zack Snyder. Check that film out, man. That movie is so good. So yeah, let me just do a thing. Okay. So yeah, man. Let's move on to the next article. And on the James Gunn topic, he has spoken about how he's going to be releasing this thing. He's going to be releasing how many movies every year, man. Just saw the article. James Gunn addresses how many DCU films will be released per year. Uh, so yeah, man. What are you doing, bro?
Was playing Roblox Swing City?
Swing City.
Mm.
Swing City. Yo, man, get your stuff off my face, man. People don't want to be seeing that, man. They want to see me. Dude, you good?
Mm.
Alright, man. So, yeah. Dude, go sit in the room, please. Yeah. Close the door. Multiple DC Universe projects have been announced. James Gunn addresses whether or not to release the release schedule will be packed for a new franchise every year. Following the end of the DCU movie timeline in 2023 with Aquaman and The Last Kingdom, DC Studios is getting a new chance at running a DC cinematic franchise across film and television. I don't really like the television part because I feel like people don't really watch the television part. But anyway, let's carry on. The first movie that is finished filming from Gunn's new continuity is Superman. Yes, that is the first movie, but not the first product. The first product will be Creature Commandos, just coming out this year. Is Creature coming out? This is coming out this year. Yeah, Creature Commandos is coming out this year, man. In December. So yeah, look forward to that. Hopefully it's good. I don't know who Creature Commandos are, but yeah. And apparently the people who've been casting Creature Commandos have already been cast for the live action um series, I think. Yeah. The article says As Gunn is getting ready to present Creature Commandos at this year's New York Comic Con event, the filmmaker was asked by a fan on Threads, "Are we getting three DCU films every year in Chapter One or not?" It didn't take long for Gunn to shut down any speculation on um, multiple DC Universe film releases on a yearly basis for Chapter One, Gods and Monsters, as he called it. He said the following, and he said, "No way, that is not even a consideration." Why? What James Gunn's DCU movie universe release schedule comments mean for DC Studios? Uh, it's imperative to take into account that even though five movies have been properly announced, um, while the Teen Titans film and the Deathstroke Bane team up movie have only been reported by the trades, but not confirmed by DC Studios. Uh, Gunn and Safran are setting proper rules for what goes into getting a project off the ground. While a film may get to the script stages at the very least, it is only when the creative vision and screenplay have been properly finalized that they will go to the next stages, which includes casting. If they can't get the story and the direction done properly, said film could easily be scrapped or delayed. Instead of casting the characters and getting to principal photography, only to have multiple last minute changes, disruptions made in the process. All of that will be figured out before a DC Universe movie goes in front of the cameras. Can't even reiterate the point on Threads, saying just to clarify, I said everything we originally announced was still in development, not that it's still coming. That all depends on the scripts. We'll never put a half-assed script in production just because it was announced. This was in response to a report where it was stated that Khan had assured that every DC Universe project sounds like someone's coming in. This was in response to a report where it was stated Gunn had assured that every DC Universe project that has been announced is still on its way, despite the lack of updates. Our take on James Gunn's DC Universe movie release schedule. It makes perfect sense to not to start aiming to have a three DC Universe. And let me just pause. Okay, so yeah, well, it says that it makes perfect sense not to start aiming to have three DCU Chapter 1 Gods and Monsters movies based be released per year, especially given the chaotic results that came with the final movies from the DCU franchise in 2022 and 2023. But like, how many films were released in 2022, man? I don't think DCU even made three films. I think it was probably like what, two? When was this thing released, even, man? Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. The 2024 film. It was a 2023 film, as I said, man. Okay, okay. Now that is a point because in 2023, four films came out: Blue Beetle, The Flash, Shazam: Fury of the Gods, and Aquaman. Obviously, two of them sequels, and yeah, Black Adam was the only film that was released in 2022. Suicide Squad, obviously those were the COVID years, but only like two films came out 2021, two films came out in 2020. So this article, I don't know. I don't think it quite matches what DCEU was doing. I think the DCEU was on a proper pace because Marvel, in turn, they were releasing like three films a year, and they only slowed down like this year. So let's see the difference. Uh, okay, I'm almost there, people. Just give me a second. Yeah, only like this thing. Yeah, man, Marvel compared to DC was crazy because Marvel released like in 2021 they released four films. In 2022 they released three. In 2023 they released three. So Marvel is going crazy, man. In 2024 the only one that they released and the one which kind of why Ryan Reynolds and Deadpool compared itself to Marvel Jesus was because Deadpool and Wolverine made bank. I can't even remember how much it made. Like it made over 1.33 $5 billion, man. $1,335,000,000. That's crazy. Yeah. So James Gunn, I'm not quite sure what he's doing because if I feel like if because Marvel will be releasing less, that is actually quite a gap for them to be. Let me just see what Marvel plans on releasing. Uh, let me see. Where just stick with me, people. Um, because I'm not even sure when Secret Wars even coming out. Um, Phase 5. Oh yeah, Captain America is coming out. Is it 2025? Yeah, there's only two films coming out in 2025. James Gunn only has one movie coming out in 2025. I mean, the DC Studios, only has one movie planned for 2025. And yo, man, there's actually four films planned for 2025 from Marvel. Obviously, the Blade film is not gonna be coming out because it's still on ice. All the directors have quit. Every single director has backed out of that project because of the many controversies going on there. Fantastic Four, we've seen the trailer. Thunderbolts and Captain America, we've seen the trailers. Captain America's what do you call the pre-screenings are not going that well. So I don't know about that. And yeah, man, I don't think he has to necessarily try to keep pace with Marvel, but he has to think about the long term. I mean, if you're going to be releasing a Superman film in 2025, like by 2027, when you release a Justice League film, who's really gonna care? So yeah, man, I don't really think that's a good idea. Um, but anyway, let's just see what he's gonna do. Uh, let's say DC still overshadows the multiverse saga's most crucial point. Marvel and DC have a running rivalry that has grown beyond the comics into mediums and like film and television. Even though I kind of feel what was that film? Crisis on Infinite Earths. I kind of feel that they part three was like the best way to close a multiversal saga because it reset everything into one, and the person was like the key component, or let's say, what do they call it in DC? Like each each person calls it their own way, like the personal plot point, anchor point. Like yeah, let's just stick with that. Anchor being that's what they called it in Deadpool and Wolverine. Each anchor being from each universe, like in terms of Marvel's universe, DC's universe, or the Spider Verse, as they said, the anchor being had to sacrifice themselves in order to reset the timeline. So yeah, they would be the only person who would know. So yeah, or they wouldn't even be there because they had to sacrifice themselves to reset the whole timeline. Marvel and DC have a long get it wait. This rivalry fuels the superhero genre and is a major reason why it has become as successful as it is. In recent years, Marvel Studios birthed the cinematic universe and changed superhero films forever with an interconnected storyline and crossover events. Meanwhile, DC has struggled on the film side with the lack of identity and behind the scenes issues that ultimately killed its first cinematic universe, the DCEU. And come on, DCEU had so many problems, man. And it was more hit by COVID as well. So yeah, let's not get into that, man. It was COVID that hit DCU, and Zack Snyder's issues with his daughter passing away, and how Joss Whedon handled the how he handled Zack Snyder's vision because he changed everything, and a lot of people didn't agree with that, and a lot of things that he tried to do didn't work. So yeah, I don't think we can even hold him, you know, you can really say that it was a failure in terms of what it produced. It was more in terms of failure in terms of the background issues that were going on. So yeah, that was anyway. They got James Gunn to reset it, and yeah, man, let's see what's gonna go on. Marvel and DC have also made a strong imprint in television, a medium that lends itself more to comic book adaptation than film with its structure. Yeah, it does because television actually gives the characters more of a chance to breathe. That's why the Peacemaker series was so good. WandaVision was quite good. Marvel has had plenty of live action animated shows before the MCU, but Marvel finally entered the television medium at the start of the multiverse saga with WandaVision. The DCEU has only ever had one series in Peacemaker, but when you account for its entire television series output compared to all of Marvel TV's history, DC comes on top. Um, HBO sets the standard and Penguin matches it. Obviously, when it comes to television, Warner Brothers is always going to win because Warner Brothers owns HBO. HBO is, I don't think any other TV um, TV channel has ever made more iconic shows than what HBO has done, man. So obviously, if they had to pick their people to do that, to produce that, there was only going to be one result. So yeah, Watchmen. To go goes on to say, Watchmen only ran for one season as a limited series on HBO. Damon Lindelof created the series and is part of the writers' room for the upcoming DCU series HBO Lanterns. I think they should actually release it on Max because Peacemaker was released on Max. It did well. Kind of don't really care when all these things get released. House of the Dragon season one was released on Max, and then season two reverted to HBO because it was so good. I don't think even they expected it to come close to what Game of Thrones did, but because Game of Thrones was so popular and House of Dragons something new, you know, I I kind of feel that that was the obvious result, man. People were thirsty for more content, or more good content anyway. It talks further goes on to talk about the Penguin and the Batman, yeah, yada yada yada. Netflix a series and Superman's Lois, CW Superman and Lois are the other recent standouts from DC. Superman and Lois is the last man standing when it comes to the CW series, man. Because how many these things were released? Quite a lot of series were released, man. Yeah, like Legends of Tomorrow. That it was actually called the Arrowverse because it all started with Arrow. Nobody thought Arrow would do the numbers it did. Arrow morphed into Flash, which gave birth to Supergirl, which gave birth to the Legends of Tomorrow, which gave birth to Superman and Lois, and they also did their own superhero team up with Crisis on Infinite Earths. They did the saga well. They introduced Spectre. They introduced uh, what was this? The antimatter, anti-monitor, the monitor and the anti-monitor. So in television, they pulled it off. And Superman and Lois are the last man standing when it comes to that, man. So, but I can't wait for Superman and Lois to end, man, because obviously DCU starting, and I kind of feel that this is played out now. With DCU under Warner Brothers, its television side as a secret weapon in HBO, obviously, as I just said, and I'm not gonna read that whole article. Series creator, followed up the legendary graphic novel, and yeah, the Watchmen series. It was too good, man. I'm actually quite disappointed it didn't come up with a second season, but it was a quite strong mini series. It's quite strong as a mini series as well. Um, let's see. The article goes on to compare. Okay, this article is not what I thought it would be because it just talks about. I should really make a studio, but anyway, it talks about how Marvel had, She-Hulk, the failure that was She-Hulk turning out low. And the lady from She-Hulk has actually sued Ryan Reynolds to make fun of her. Yeah. So, what else? The Daredevil Born Again, the series Echo. Torjo, Torj, volume. El volume. What's the volume come Okay, it just goes on to the article further just goes on to mention all that I mentioned with how Superman is the last man standing of how what the Arrow started. So yeah. Also, basically, this article it's just a comparison of these series. I thought that there was a good conclusion with the whole multiverse thing because that's been my if you followed these videos that I'm making, that's been my whole thing about how the multiverse saga was just handled badly by some people. And because of the many changes that have been happening, and some ideas had to be scrapped, even though they were very crucial to what is going on, that kind of handicapped this whole thing. And that's what led to the whole collapsing of the multiverse films in terms of uh, Ant-Man and Quantumania with the Karen character and Jonathan Majors basically being blamed for the failure of a very weak film series. And it was not in his hands how he was portrayed. No one put the directors or the writers, um, no one actually put the responsibility on them. And they kind of just use his legal troubles as a way to, just scrap the whole idea. And in terms of the Flash, something very similar happened. The changes at DC, they all led to the failure that was the Flash. So yeah, man. Anyway, that was that. They compared the two television series, two television series outputs of the two respective anime comic book franchises. So yeah, could have sworn there was something else. Uh, okay, no man. I think that's it, people. Anyway, Penguin season 1, episode 5 is coming out on Monday, called Homecoming. Penguin has also been doing crazy numbers, man, in terms of IMDb scores. So, yeah, one I didn't think would actually be good, but hey, it surprised me. So, yeah, man, let's support these shows and support each other in your endeavors. And that's going to be my last bit of news today. Oh, okay, okay. Last bit of news. Dune Messiah begins production in 2026. So Greg Fraser might return for the Batman Part 2 because obviously he was the cinematographer for Part 1. I think Seamus McCarthy, Seamus McCarthy started and Greg Fraser finished because he was still busy on another project. He was still busy on Dune, like the film, not the upcoming series. So, yeah, man. A big reason why people love the Batman. So, yeah. That's all the news I have for you today, people. So, yeah, check you guys tomorrow. Please like and subscribe. Do the usual things that we need to do. And yeah, man. Check you out. Peace.